And I had another test the next day. I had a CAT scan that they were doing me, and I had never even had blood drawn up until this point, because I don't like needles.
Yeah.
So after that, we go get the CAT scan done. They find the tumor, find out what it all is, and then go back to my doctor, and she said, well, we're going to send you to COSAR.
Hello everyone, welcome to Upper Reach Studios. This is the Road Home Podcast.
And today is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. And we're going to have a good time here on the Road Home Podcast. And today we're going to get into a personal story from our very own Jed over here to my left side.
Before we do that, though, we got someone different sitting over there.
Let me just look over here and see. Wait a minute. First of all, yes, Billy's still on but he's a daddy.
Taking care of the baby.
He's daddy again. This is my big sister.
That was your baby sister. Last time was your baby sister.
Last time was baby sister. This is my big sister, and she is married to this guy. And for some odd reason, I'm in the middle. So
he's been there from the beginning.
we can pray about that. But we're glad to have you here.
Yeah, glad
out in the open. She's usually behind the camera talking, but today she's in front of a camera talking. So
thanks for inviting me to the chair.
But anyway, we're going to get into some a personal story concerning you and your family, and mostly you.
Mostly me. Yeah.
But can you kind of, first of all, most people do not know. You have a certain issue that you've dealt with for a long time now that you've been living with, and could you kind of explain what that is and how that has come about?
Well, I've dealt with this for 12 years now. It happened in November 26th of 2010. It was the day after Thanksgiving, and the whole family had gotten sick. It was just a really bad flu, and I think it was like on the fourth day or something. I turned yellow. Yeah. Just a really bad yellow color. I was starting to feel fine. Like I didn't have flu-like symptoms anymore, but I turned a yellow color.
All right.
So my parents, they got really concerned and took me to our doctor that we had at the time in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. And she examined me and started feeling my stomach, and she felt a hard mass on the right side of my stomach. So she got real concerned about it and wanted some testing done. And so after all the testing was done, they didn't know what it was. The doctor, she thought maybe it could have been cancer, or it could have been any number of things that she was thinking.
And how old were you at this particular moment?
I was 15.
So
I was almost 16, just like a month away from turning 16, but I was 15 at the time.
So you're a teenager.
Yeah.
You're very young. You don't even drive yet.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of life you have not lived.
Right.
What is going through your mind, like, when you even hear a doctor saying you have a mass on your body?
I was scared. Yeah, right. It freaked me out. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what was going on. So, like, okay, so you're thinking to yourself, well, this could be something, or it could be nothing. There's 50-50 there. You know, you can go either way. But you were like, am I ever going to get married? Yeah. Am I ever going to have kids? Am I ever going to get to drive? All of them thoughts came after, like after it was all kind of set in. Yeah. 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 Like, see, with all this, I spent 22 days at COSAR Hospital. Well, at the time it was COSAR Hospital. Now it's Norton's Hospital in Louisville, Kentucky. But all them thoughts came afterwards. Yeah. But like, it was like literally, one day you were one way, and next day you found out this is what's been going on in my body. Yeah. For a while now. Yeah. The doctors, the tumor, they come to find out it was a 15-pound tumor, and I've had it since birth, is what they said. No signs of it at all. So, okay. Before you go there, I'm gonna stay here for a second. So, like, you're 15, going on 16. your future is kind of in question because of this strange thing.
Yeah.
You're a little scared.
Yeah.
But it's the unknown you're more scared of than anything. And the doctors say this could be something. So like tests and all that's going on. Where was your spiritual mind at the moment? Because like I know, like that had to be the big thing. Like how are you praying? Like how are you praying? I know how everybody else was praying.
Yeah.
I'm sure, but
I just was I was putting a lot of trust in God with all of it, asking him to just take care of this.
yeah,
And because I mean, like at the time, like you said, it happened just from literally overnight.
mm-hmm.
I mean, woke up one morning, was sick, went to the doctor, and then just in a blink of an eye, my whole life changed.
Yeah. This, I mean, like, I'm sure, like, we've been around, like, children's hospitals and stuff like that. And up and down the halls, there's people, like, several different questions. You were one of those kids.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling.
Yeah.
Being one of them, being in a room or, like, just walking around the hallways and seeing all the other kids walking around, which, I mean, there was a lot of times that, in a way, I felt blessed because I knew what I had, and there was other children there that had things a whole lot worse than I did.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, okay, they tell you after the test and everything, they find out that it's not cancerous.
Right. They did. Okay, so let me back up a little
Yeah,
bit.
back up because there's something that happened before that.
So on Thanksgiving, we got sick a few days, and then a few days later, December 1st. That's the day that we went to the doctor, found the mass, and went and had tests done on it. Well, that night was a Wednesday night, so we went to church. We were going to a church in Louisville, Kentucky. My mom, she wanted me to get prayed for. And that particular night, our pastor wasn't there. He was homesick with the flu. And his wife was there. The assistant pastor was there, and he preached. And after church, we went up, talked to pastor's wife, and told him what was going on, and she called him up on the phone. So he prayed for me over the phone. My mom, it wasn't good enough.
Wasn't good enough, yeah.
She wanted him to physically lay hands on me and pray for me.
Okay.
So my mom, she asked Sister Hollis, said, "Could we please just come to your house and have Brother Hollis pray for him?"
Exactly.
So she agreed, and we got in the car, followed her over there. We went in, and he prayed for me. And he had been home all day. Like I said, he was sick, but he was at home all day praying himself, just meditating on the Lord and praying. Well, after he prayed for me, we were just standing there talking for 15, 20 minutes, and all of a sudden my side started feeling real funny. I told Mom and Dad, I said, I got to go lay in the car. So they gave me the keys. I went and lay down, and while I was out there, I felt the most horrible pain I had ever felt in my entire life. I didn't know what was going on, and it lasted for, I'd say, a minute.
Okay.
And after it was gone, I kind of just went to sleep. And I'm laying there. They come out, give their southern goodbyes, and we get in the car and we head home. We even stop in Shepherdsville and stop at Taco Bell. Mom asked me, "Do you want anything?" I said, "No." It's like,
of course not.
Right? Yeah.
Who gives you Taco Bell when you're dying back there? It's like I feel so bad. And you want a chalupa?
Yeah. I love my steak quesadillas, but I didn't feel like one that night. So we go home and go to bed. And I had another test the next day. I had a CAT scan that they were doing me, and I had never even had blood drawn up until this point, because I don't like needles.
Yeah.
So after that, we go get the CAT scan done. They find the tumor, find out what it all is, and then go back to my doctor, and she said, "Well, we're going to send you to Cosair." So we're scared. We don't know what's going on. Right. We head up there. They admit me, and then it was I don't remember how many days I was there, but they do a biopsy on the tumor. They go in, take a small piece of it, and that was, like I said, that was my first surgery I'd ever had done.
Yeah. Did they? Okay, but did they take it off your side? Was it off your leg? What was it?
No, it was just right on the side of my stomach. It was only about a cut, probably that big.
Okay.
And I mean, that surgery, that was no problem.
No big deal.
So no big deal. Okay. Took it out, biopsied it, figured out what it was, and they tested it, and the doctor said that it wasn't cancerous, so we were praising God for that. But not only was it not cancerous, it was less than cancerous. So
Less than benign. So
it was benign. It was less than
nothing.
benign. There was nothing there. It was just a tumor, like just a fatty tumor.
Okay, so I've heard you tell this before, that when you went to Brother Hollis's house, you got prayed for, and after you felt horrible,
Yeah.
like you were dying.
Yeah.
What do you believe took place from the moment you got hands laid on you to that?
I believe it was a miraculous healing. I don't know, but it could have been cancer. It could have been a really bad form of cancer, and God took it out of my body that night.
Yeah.
And because I don't see how you can have something that's less than benign.
I mean, it would have had to been. It had to be God for you.
It was
for this to be, and with all the other symptoms.
I've never had a pain. I never had a pain like that before then or after then, and that's been going on 12 years.
So that's amazing.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like some people, are like, well, why didn't God just take it all? Well, we'll continue with the story. This, though, I think this can help somebody that has been prayed for, and like after you got prayed for, you feel worse than you did. And I mean, I've done it myself. I've been prayed for. You be sick, you have issues, something going on, and it get worse. But I believe that God put you under a spiritual anesthesia and began to do surgery on you.
It's really almost what it was like.
Yeah.
Because I was out. After that pain left, I didn't pass out, but I just went to sleep.
He was knocked out.
Yeah.
He was gone. Okay, so fast forward again. So they find out it's less than benign.
Right.
Absolutely no cancer.
Right.
I mean, it was like it was almost impossible.
Right.
So
and with the tumor, I believe they found this in the CAT scan. I had 2 aneurysms on my liver. There was I believe it was 5 centimeter and one was 7 centimeter.
So this was life-threatening stuff.
Yes.
Like, this was not just
where we lived out
something
in
on
the
you.
country. The doctor said if one of them aneurysms would have bursted, I wouldn't have made it to the hospital.
Wow.
He said that I would have died before I made it to any hospital that was close.
And all of the other things that was going on in your body.
Because of the tumor was pushing on all of my organs.
Yeah.
That created the aneurysms in the liver.
Okay. So this was a major thing for a 15-year-old kid to be going through. You're asking yourself questions that probably you shouldn't have to ask yourself at 15. Yeah. So, okay. They remove this. And they find the aneurysms.
They do the biopsy first, and then they find the aneurysms. So before they could do anything with the rest of the tumor, they had to take care of the aneurysms first. So they went in, they coiled the 7 millimeter one, and then the 5 millimeter, they took care of that a couple months later. That one wasn't such a big deal.
Right.
So after they did that, and then my bilirubin levels were all off. I think that something to do with your liver, ain't it?
Something.
Yeah.
Something.
I don't remember. It's been
Ask our
12 years has been a long time to remember that.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
So every day they'd come in, take my blood, test it, and just slowly them levels would drop down. And when it got to a certain level, they said, okay, we're good for surgery. After that, they go in and they take out the main part of the tumor.
And how extensive was that as far as a surgery?
It was a pretty extensive surgery because I don't think I mentioned this before. The tumor, the type of tumor it is called neurofibromatosis. That's the medical term. I'll spell it all out.
Spell all that out.
Yeah. But you can just call it NF1.
Okay.
And there's 2 types. There's NF1 or NF2, and mine was NF1. And what it is, it's tumors that grow on the nerves.
Okay.
So it's kind of a form of the elephant's man disease. But mine, it's on the inside. And so this tumor, it grew all around my sciatic nerve. They had to go in and slice it off the sciatic nerve. And with that, they cut some of the nerves. So half of my leg is numb. Like I don't have any feeling in my leg or...
Like right now.
Right. Yeah, right
like
now.
Right now. Yeah. And that's a lot. We can get into more of that in a minute. But yeah, that's one of the things that happened. So from that, how much... Okay, kind of explain... Okay, this was... If anybody knows about your sciatic nerve, that is a Very.
That's your main nerve.
That's your main nerve connecting your leg and your spine together.
If you got a pinched sciatic, if you've ever had a pinched sciatic nerve, you're down.
Yeah.
You're in the bed for a few days.
And this was attached to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So he had to go in and slice it, and there's still 5 pounds of it that goes down my right leg. So the doctors, they said, one doctor said, well, we could just take all of it out, and I don't know what that would have done to me. I don't know if I would have been wheelchair bound or not.
Right.
But the main doctor, he said no. He said this kid's only 15 years old.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of life to live ahead of him, and this is just what we're going to do. So I've had several MRIs since then, and it hasn't grown at all.
Wow.
Since I was 12 years old.
So that has remained though in your leg.
Yeah.
Since you were 15.
Yeah. It's just been hanging out there.
Okay. So here now we kind of getting ready to walk into the next part of the story.
Let me add this too. With the neurofibromatosis, they had to do a lot of like DNA testing and look at all my chromosomes and all that stuff. And normally you either have a dot on one chromosome or a dot on each chromosome. But with mine, it was he called it a new mutation. So I had 2 dots on one chromosome, and as of that time, they had never seen that before.
So you're weird.
Yeah, basically, the missing link.
Yeah. So like, okay.
Aren't you in a medical book?
Yeah, they with the chromosomes and with, I believe, the aneurysms. They had never seen that. The aneurysms, they'd never seen that in someone that young. So it was. The doctor told me it was going to be put in medical books. So any doctors out there that are listening to this, if you come across that story, it's me.
Famous.
Yeah.
Famous guy over here. All because of something.
And it's genetic. So they tested both of my parents, and my dad didn't have any form of it, but my mom, she had it was on hers, but it was dormant. So I kind of have a lot of my own theories on that. Of maybe both grandparents had it and it went dormant to mom, and so I mean.
So, but it's like, okay, a lot of questions, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of unknown stuff.
A lot of questions.
Yeah.
And this is where some people can kind of relate as well, that you may have something going on. And a lot of people, they actually do know what they've got going on, but like you had no idea, your parents didn't know what was going on.
Right. And
this was life altering.
Yeah. And neurofibromatosis, it's somewhat common. I think it's like 1 in 5,000 people. So on the whole planet, 1 in 5,000, I guess that's pretty common.
Not as rare as like the elephant man disease, but pretty prevalent within a certain gene pool, I guess you'd say. Okay. So
there's enough of it where there's certain foundations out there, and like there's one page I follow, it's NF1 Midwest, and there's a lot of different stories on there.
Of people that have similar problems.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I gotta back up just a minute, because I want to know, whenever the doctor told you, well, like, we're not taking this other 5 pounds out.
Right.
And they removed the greater majority of it. What did they say? Did they give you any kind of an idea of how the rest of your life was going to be, or did they give you any kind of, like, you're going to have to deal with this? Or
they said we'll monitor it for a while. And so like I went every year, got an MRI done, and then at one point, it's gone out every 2 years, and so I just every few years I go get an MRI, make sure it's all good. They check my different organs out, MRI the leg, make sure the tumor's not growing at all. And, all right, well, we'll see you in 2 more years.
Wow. So, okay, you leave the hospital. Let's go to that day. The day you leave the hospital, how did your life look as opposed to what it looked like before when you went in? How did it change?
A lot different. I could barely walk. It was I kind of had to learn to walk all over again. They had me in a walker right away, and I went a few feet and my leg buckled on me. So I went down, hit my knee in the ground, and so it buckles a lot. So it's really affected my life a lot since then, which I know you've seen it affect me.
Yeah.
Different times I'll be standing there and I just fall on the ground.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it was a few months after all this happened, and we went to the Bass Pro Shop in Indiana. I was doing better. I was walking a little bit, and I got the bright idea. I was like, hey, I want to go a little bit faster. So I put one foot up on the cart, and I was going to push myself, and that was a bad idea because I pushed myself, and down I went. I was laying there on the ground, and there was like 5 or 6 guys just standing around me looking back like, what's wrong with this kid? And yeah.
And so there's a lot of embarrassment with that.
There's a lot of
I understand that. So, but
like it's even affected like going up steps. Like
right.
I can't, normally you go up one step at a time. I can't do that. I have to go up a step, go up a step, go up a step with both feet, you know.
Stuff that a lot of people take for granted.
Yeah.
That should be like, okay, you're constantly, and you even like you would say like you get carried away. Sometimes you just go ahead and just try it, but then like your obstacles coming away with it.
I always have to be cautious of where I'm walking.
Yeah,
like I'm always looking down, looking where if there's a rock there or something in my way or anything like that. I'm always even if there's just like it could be the slightest little hump in the ground, and if I hit it, if I step on it wrong, I go down.
Yep.
Because the knee, there's no strength in the knee because the nerves are cut.
Yeah.
So there's really no strength there.
Yeah. So you've dealt with the weakness of it, but you've also dealt with a lot of pain.
Yeah.
That's been involved there. So a lot of people in your predicament would have chosen to go a route of heavy painkillers. So how have you dealt with that?
Well, so after I come out of the main surgery, I was sedated pretty well for a couple of days there. And I had a little button I could push. It was morphine button. And I was doing it unconsciously. I was just sitting there pushing it. Yeah. I didn't really realize it. And the nurse, she got on me saying that you're not going to get no more. And my mom, she kind of snapped back at her. So I was glad she did that. So Mom, if you're watching, thank you. And I'll say it real quick, my mom, she stuck by me the entire time. I think she only left, once to go to Walgreens down the street. But she stuck by me every mother's love was shown with that.
Happy Mother's Day, Billy Hill.
So where were we?
You were talking about the
painkiller. Yeah, there we go. So after I got out of the hospital, I would take Advil and stuff like that, and sometimes it wouldn't cut it. So the doctors, they tried to put me on gabapentin. I took that for about 4 days, and I said, I can't take this no more because I started getting mean. My brother, he did something. It wasn't even no big deal, and I snapped at him. Yeah. But I knew enough that I can't
cross the line. Yeah.
I was like, no, I can't take this. And so I never took another one. And so now I really just Advil.
Yeah.
Ibuprofen.
But some people would be like, I can't live without. Yeah. I'm dealing with this. So you've definitely that's almost a character thing. I mean, it is a character thing that you say, okay, I could take something that would make me feel better,
right?
But it alters my state of mood and being,
right?
But you chose to not go that route, and that's made you. It's part of who you are. So, what would you tell somebody out here that maybe would they have dealt with struggling with mood altering drugs, and just because they have some form of pain, what would you tell somebody that what is worth it, what's not worth it?
It's just a state of mind that if you can take. I have took stronger medication before. For a couple years ago, I broke my leg, so I had to take some stronger stuff with that, and it's just it alters your mind so much. You can't think straight. You're not yourself. Right. You're not who you're supposed to be.
Your personality. Yeah. I don't know how. I mean, I understand how addiction can form, right? But that's not the case with you.
You gotta have God. Yeah. If you don't have God with you, I can see how the addiction can take over. And God, God's the ultimate painkiller.
Exactly. Yeah. That's he does that. Like we was talking last week about how you got to take him your problems. You got to lay your issues at his feet, and it's not something you have to hang on to. But for you,
you haven't worn this as a badge of I'm entitled to all the cushiness and the comforts of life.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that like different doctors tell me. Well, you can sign up for disability, and I mean, I thought about it, but it was no, because it limits you so much in life. And if I would have signed up for disability when I was 16, 17 years old, I know I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Right.
Because I mean, I've always had a dream of owning my own business or doing my own thing one day, and if I did that, I knew I would never get there. So I was always looking to my future.
Right.
That I was always thinking about tomorrow. Like if I do this today, I can't do that tomorrow.
Right.
You know.
And that's part of that futurist outlook. There's a hope involved there that you latched onto that, and it is it's a great thing. You it's not that you said this, I couldn't take this, or I couldn't put this on myself and make something a little easier for myself.
Right.
But you chose to go a different route, and that's the path that you've chose to go.
I just knew it would limit me so much in life.
Yeah.
Because like I've known different people that are on disability and stuff like that. You can't have but so much money. And I never wanted to be limited on what I could have.
Yeah.
I always knew there'd be more out there.
The opportunity would arise at some point.
Yeah.
Because he's always wanted to be rich.
We could talk about camels and needles, but but that was just your kind of like that's your personality. You're kind of a entrepreneurial kind of the wheels turn inside of his head all the time. Like even right now, there's some kind of a scheme or game or
some kind of vision coming together for some kind of business or idea or.
Yeah, I mean it could be a go-kart track or a car wash or something.
Well, at the time of all this, that's what I wanted to do, was to open a go-kart track.
You're kidding.
No.
That wasn't planned. But anyway, that was like, I mean, of course. Why not?
What 15-year-old don't want to own a go-kart track?
I mean, I would.
Really.
That's pretty funny. But that just shows you your personality.
Yeah.
But like, okay, you have done, you've struggled in some things, but like it has not killed your, I don't want to say your dreams, but I mean, that's basically what I'm saying. It hasn't killed your hope for life, or that even things may get better at some point.
Right. Well, when all this happened, there was a constant fear of, like driving. So like when this happened, I was a month from being 16. And so it kind of put a halt on me getting a driver's license, because I was excited. I wanted to get my driver's license as soon as I turned 16. And it was probably a year and a half later, I was able to get my permit, and I was able to start driving a little bit, but it was always a worry for me on how I'm going to drive. How am I going to do it? If my leg don't work right, how am I going to drive?
Right. And
like I looked into how there's vehicles where you can get throttles put on and different stuff like that, and but the Lord, he's taken care of all that. So like if I think back when I was 16, worrying about driving a car, and then now I look today, I drive a dump truck for a living. Yeah, I mean, I drive down the interstate with 80,000 pounds, and it blows my mind what God has done.
Right.
Your worries at one point in life, God can take care of them.
Exactly. Yeah. And you let God, you basically had to, like you said, you had to learn how to walk again, but you had to learn how to do things a different way.
Right.
You had to learn how to adapt. Yeah. So that's helpful in a lot of things, because like some people, they see a problem and it's like, well, never mind. You know, I don't have to, I'm not even going to try because I have this issue. But you say, okay, I have to make my mind work a different way. I may not be able to be it like other people.
Just don't give up.
Right.
You know.
And that's a powerful thing. Let me ask you this. And your story continues when we talk about this, but so many people, they want to cut and dry testimony of like how from point A to point B. You've always got this drive that my testimony's not over.
Right.
And you we've had this conversation in The Chosen. There's a character
that goes by the name of Little James. It's James what's the James the Less, or whatever they call him in the Bible. But in The Chosen, the creators of The Chosen have decided to make James the Less, or Little James, to be he has a handicap. And the actual actor who plays Little James deals with scoliosis, or it's something like that. Yeah.
And you see, before all of my stuff, before I was 15 and all this started, I would always go to the chiropractor for scoliosis, and so that was always a factor there because my hips would be out of line, but it was because of the tumor.
Yeah.
And
you didn't know that,
right,
really.
Didn't know it at the time, and so
it
made sense after we found all that out.
Yeah. So like you've had that alignment as well messed up too. But like you look at this character, and we've had this conversation that so in The Chosen, this character comes to Jesus himself and says, "Why do I have to deal with this? I see you heal multitudes. I've seen you heal the blind, the lame, all the things he said." But he's like, "Why must I deal with this?" Yeah. And so you said you identify with that because you can understand the questions he's asking.
Yeah.
You're not mad at God.
It does get confusing at times, like when you go to church and you see different people get prayed for, and then they receive these miraculous healings, because you know God can do this stuff. You know he can do it like that. Right. And it's like you want to just ask, why, God? Why won't you fix me right now?
Right.
Because it's like I've asked God this before. It's like, I know I could do so much more if you'd fix this situation in my life.
Right.
And so I've had a lot of conversations with God like that, and it's just,
it does get confusing though.
Yeah.
Because you're like, okay, God can do, if God can just split the Red Sea.
Right. You read all these miracles in the Bible. Things. You read all these miracles and healings, and you ask why. And me and Emily, we've gone through other situations in life, and we just ask God, why? Why do you let this happen? And it just always comes back it's for His glory.
Right.
Because when you go through a situation, He will bring you through it. And right now I'm going through the situation. I don't know when. I don't know how. I heard someone say one time, God's in the interruptions. And it's true, because God just does stuff out of the blue. Like, right. you wouldn't even, things happen, you wouldn't even expect it. It happens when you least expect it.
Right.
This situation in my life, it happened when I least expected it. 15 years old, whole life ahead of me, thinking about high school, friends, family, all that stuff. What I'm going to do here in a few years, and I turn 18. Am I going to go to college? I wasn't going to college. I didn't like school. See, with all this, I always had a very bad anxiety with school. For years, I would cry the first month of school because I just did not want to go to school. So with it allowed me to be, it's called homebound taught, where I had a teacher come out from the high school, gave him my paperwork and everything, was there an hour, and then he was on his way, and I did my stuff for the week. So it allowed me to finish high school differently than other kids, and but I was still able to walk the line with all of them and get my diploma. So that was very special to me.
Right. And we know what it's like to be homeschooled.
Yeah.
Only our teacher didn't come and stay an hour.
No, she never left.
We lived with her.
She never left. Thankful for that. But
So after high school, like I said, I always was thinking of the future. I always wanted to get married. I always wanted to have a family. The thoughts of who in the world am I going to find that will accept me for this and stuff like that. And so I actually remember at Billy's wedding, I stood up in Billy's wedding, and my mom, she recorded part of it on her tablet, and I stood behind their car and I watched it, and I just bawled because I watched the way I walked, and it just, I never like watching myself in a video walk, because I've been so used to just physically, just walking. I don't feel like I have a limp a lot of times, but then when I watch a video, I see how bad it can be. And, well, at that wedding, like I said, I never knew who I would find to marry. And, well, at that wedding, I walked with Emily. So a few years later, me and her got married. So it was.
And y'all weren't dating at the time?
No, we weren't. No. We weren't dating. We started dating just a couple weeks
Actually, we got married the next year.
Yeah. Okay. So we got married the next year.
Yeah. They got married in 15. We got married in 16.
Yeah. So God, He will work out all your problems.
Yep.
Any worries you have, God will work them out. You just give Him time. He don't need the time, but it's you have to. How do I put this?
Give yourself time.
Yeah.
You don't see the whole picture just yet.
Yeah, you can't look at the whole picture.
Yeah. I mean,
you have to be willing to give God the time, and then He'll do it.
Okay, let me ask you this, Jed.
Okay.
Would you feel like that God has kind of put you on a Karate Kid journey in some ways?
Yeah.
that God, like your Mr. Miyagi, has put you through these things that you like, why am I doing this? And He's like, wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, but I can do this now. Yeah. And I can understand this now, and I can adapt to certain situations. And it's made you stronger as an individual.
Yeah.
Not saying that you have to go through certain things in order to make you strong, but it has.
And there are still days like last week I was having a day. I was just upset. Mm-hmm. I was at work on the job site, and like I said, I have to look down, watch every step I make.
Right.
And when other people, they're just go right past me, and I'm a lot slower. I can do the stuff. It just I have to find a different way, like using a shovel. I have to do it a different way. I can get the job done. It just might take me a little longer, or I have to do it a different way.
Yep. And that's like that just shows you don't give up, though.
Yeah.
That's another part of that. You don't give up. Mm-hmm. But like I said, God has made you who He's made you, and you've trusted Him through this, and we give glory to God for that, because God, that's something inside of you.
Yeah.
That
God will always reassure you too. Mm-hmm. When you're starting to doubt just a little bit, He'll reassure you. Like the other night at church, I got a word from God, and it just gave me a confidence boost.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, God hasn't forgotten me. He's not gonna leave me. He's not gonna forsake me. He's gonna get me through this. I don't know when, but He's gonna do it.
Exactly.
The woman with the issue of blood, she dealt with that for 12 years. That was something she dealt with for 12 years, and it's like, all right, I've dealt with this for 12 years.
Yeah. So,
and then the lame man, he was dealt with that from birth, and just one day, he was healed.
Right.
The blind man, God had to touch him twice, and there's been God has touched me several different times. Like I haven't went and gone for a jog since all this has happened, but there has been times at church that got like the Spirit of the Lord has moved on me, and I've been able to do stuff that I don't normally do.
Right. Which is a supernatural thing.
Yeah.
Which like that may blow somebody's mind, but that's what's happened. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. But it's a great thing when it does.
Right.
And like you don't hurt afterwards like you would if you were out trying to do something crazy. Right. But that's part of like God is in. We listen to the story. God is in this story. Mm-hmm. God is in the details. What does that mean? Well, He's in those details that you don't know He's in. Yeah. And He's definitely been in your details. He's been in your story. And I think that God has made you who you are. And I definitely believe that you telling your story to other people is going to encourage people, if not just inform them that they can. Like, you don't have to accept everything as like, okay, I've got this problem and I'm just going to stay this way, because you didn't. Like you can definitely, not saying you don't deal with problems, don't deal with like anxiety or the embarrassment or all those other things, but you have a determination. I'm going to try to do something, and that's we give honor to Jed. Jed's a great man of God. That's a man of faith. And we're thankful for him as our brother-in-law, and I guess you as a husband, right?
My husband.
Yeah, thankful for a husband. But this has been a great story. And you have anything else you're going to add before we kind of take off?
Just don't give up on God, because He ain't going to give up on you.
That's a mouthful. And with that said, we will see you a little further down the road.
Thanks for tuning in. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. If you like to watch us, you can find us on The Road Home on YouTube. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You can check us out on Instagram at the roadhome_podcast. If you'd like to email us, you can email us at theroadhomepodcast@yahoo.com. Thank you.